Uh,
Can you hear me all right?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
We're broadcasting right now, just to let you know.
Okay, I just wanted to check.
All right,
My my gear sometimes messes up.
can you hear me pretty
Yep.
well?
Yep, can hear you good.
Yeah, am I like too loud or too low?
Nope.
All right. Hmm. Let's see. Well, I mean, we're starting now. Our recording's going now, so I guess we just go right into it.
Certainly. I think that would be appropriate. Do you want to introduce since you're hosting the hangout?
There's nothing to do with introduction. Like I usually just like edit, so there's like it'll say um, what do I usually say? Oh, metalsmith, interviewing what's it, such and such, whatever. So there'll be an introduction.
Alrighty. Well, at this point, it's not a metalsmith interviewing me, it's me interviewing metalsmith.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
actually, the show is called Metalsmith. I think I'll say
oh,
like
okay.
Gene Chesney. I'm interviewing. Oh, I'll just say like an interview with such and such.
Okay. Oh, well, then to get right into it, how did you first become interested in becoming a musician?
Um. Hold on. It says it's like not responding.
Of course.
Yeah, my computer's been going like really slow lately. I don't know whether it's like a series of viruses or whether it's just my computer's just old.
Mine likes to wait till I'm in a hangout and then update Java.
Nice.
Oh, you're trying to do something? Let's do something that takes up memory.
All right, it should be fine now. How did I get interested in music? Okay, when I was like really young, when I was about like probably 14, I was listening to this band called System of a Down,
Hmm.
and like my dad happened to be hanging out at our house at the time. He had like a bunch of guitars, and I started like pretending like I was like playing one of his guitars while holding it. And then he told me, he says, "Oh, you want a guitar?" I'm like, "Sure." And I thought he was gonna give me one of his guitars, but like he had like gone to the store and like bought like this like really cheap, they're called like Squire Bullets.
Okay.
So it's like one of those like really cheap beginner guitars. And so then he told me like about these websites that'll teach you how to play guitar. And like every time I went to one of those websites, it would start out with like this is how you play C major chord, this is how you play A minor chord, etc., etc.
So the
And
basics.
yeah, the basics. But the thing is, like, it was boring to me because I listened to metal, I listened to hard rock. I didn't think like chord like I thought chords as being like something you use if you're like a acoustical guitar player. You know, you just want to like strum chords and stuff. And
Mhm.
that's not what I wanted to be. I didn't want to do that. So it wasn't until I was about like 17 that I actually started actually getting into playing guitar again because I think I started taking lessons from this guy named Jeremy Cornish. Yeah, and he told me that I was under the impression like I had the same mentality that chords they're not for metal. And he said no, chords are very important for heavy metal. And so at that point, that's when I actually like learned the chords and remember them.
So it took you a while to get from being interested in playing to recognizing that you have to go through the basics before you can get to the advanced part of the skill. I think that probably happens with a lot of people interested in music from listening to heavy metal. But what were some of your early influences that sort of led you to want to be a musician and want to play like they did?
Well, I mean, if you listen to my music now, you'll notice it has like a lot of guitar solos, and I really like guitar solos. But like the music I listened to initially, it really wasn't. It didn't really have that focus. A lot of it's like what a lot of people call like new metal. So it was bands like Korn, Disturbed, Slipknot, a lot of those bands, and a lot of those bands they really didn't have a lot of guitar solos, if any, when they first started out. Although nowadays, like Disturbed and Slipknot, they've decided that they're gonna start doing guitar solos now. But anyway, like yeah, back then I really wasn't interested in like playing guitar, or sorry, wasn't that interested in the guitar solos. But then like I met this guy in gym class who like introduced me to a lot of 80s metal, Like he's actually the one who lent me his. He let me borrow two. No, he gave me one CD. And he let me borrow another CD. Like I was interested in Metallica's Saint Anger album, and he had it. And like he was very critical of like modern music. He was really into like 80s metal, and so he told me he's like, all right, you can have the Saint Anger album because that's how much he did not like that album. And then I was all right. And then like he also let me borrow the Megadeth's Rust in Peace. And I didn't know at the time, but that was going to become my favorite album of all time. And so that's basically what got me into like 80s heavy metal and a lot of like the shredding. That's what they call when you do a lot of guitar solos. It's just really when you play guitar solos like really fast. A lot of times they call it shredding. So that's what really got me into guitar solos. And so, you listen to my music now, you know, it's that, yeah, it has a lot of guitar solos. And so I started getting more and more into like 80s metal, more and more obscure stuff. Cause like I started listening to Megadeth, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Slayer, basically a lot of those very classic 80s metal band that if you're a metalhead, you've heard of these bands. Even if you're
Right.
not really a fan of them, you still have heard of them. And so I started getting into even more obscure metal bands like Sanctuary, and there's what's another band that's like obscure that a lot of people wouldn't have heard of. Like there's Seraph Ungol, but I think they're more like a newer metal band. I don't know. There's like a resurgence of bands that are trying to like emulate old bands that are around like the 80s and the 70s. And
Basically picking up on Gen X's music, in other words, and the flower generation's music as it sort of evolved into what Gen X created then.
yeah, so like sometimes it's hard to like listen to music nowadays and say, oh, this is like an 80s metal band because they could have just they could have just released their first album yesterday, but their style is like an 80s metal band. Uh,
Okay, okay. And
yeah.
as your taste in music expanded, then did you get interested in playing other musical instruments before you started with more electronic music? Did you get interested in playing other physical musical instruments off the computer?
Um. Well, I ended up like when you play guitar, like a lot of people they think guitar is cool, so a bunch of people go into playing guitar, and the issue with that is that other instruments that people don't consider as cool, like it's hard to find people who play those instruments. So like bass, drums, keyboards as well. They're kind of hard to find musicians who do that kind of stuff. So I ended up playing electric bass because it was just really hard to find other basses. And so usually in my music, I'm playing the bass as well as the 6 string guitars. And so, but like the drums, like I don't know, it's not that I used to have a drum kit, but I'm not really into drums that much to continue doing that. So I just stuck with using MIDI for drums. But
Okay.
yeah, I guess that's about it. Like um, acoustic guitar, it's the same intro essentially, but it's just played a lot of times. It's played differently,
So it's a
and
different style.
yeah, it's a different style. So I can't say it's a different instrument, but it is a different style. And yeah, I used to take classical guitar classes, and so that's also like a different style from when like your typical acoustic guitar, because typically your acoustic guitars nowadays they have what they call, I think they call like steel strings, while
Mm,
classical guitars have nylon strings. So
mhm.
you end up getting like a different tone from them.
Right, and they create a different whole different style of sound as well.
Yeah.
Not just the tone, but the way that you progress with it, the speed that you play and everything seems to be a bit different from that. Um, so how has all of that led to, say, your current process for making music, which I'm sure it's probably different than you originally started. So what is your current process for making music as you do it today?
Well, I mean, when I first started making music, like it wasn't really that complicated. It was just like I would make like one riff. Like a lot of my old music, like you can't hear it anymore because I don't have it on like I don't have access to it. It's probably on some hard drive somewhere if it still exists. But a lot of it was just like I would just do one riff over and over and over again, and then I'd just do like a guitar solo over it. And so, like I said, how I got into guitar, so got like into playing guitar solos a lot. I was like really focusing on the guitar solo and not actually focusing on like song progression, writing lyrics, all that stuff. So as far as my method for writing, my process for making music nowadays, I basically start out with if a song's gonna have lyrics, I start out with the lyrics. I feel like personally that's like the most difficult part for me. It's just coming up with lyrics.
Okay. And you find you write the music then to fit the lyrics, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And then does that has a heavy influence then on sort of the direction of sound you're making and the speed and so on?
yeah. Essentially, like whenever I'm coming up with some type of lyrics, I do like I'll like sing them to myself. I'll just have like an idea of like how the rest of the song's gonna go. And if I make the other instruments first, if I go with the other instruments first, then I basically try to shape the lyrics to fit the music. So whichever I start with, that's gonna have the most influence on how the song's going to play out.
You ever have the mood of a song you've already created without lyrics inspire you to create lyrics for it?
Huh? The move song without lyrics is pretty. Huh? I don't think so. I don't think I've ever made like an instrumental song and then decided, oh, this would be really cool with lyrics with it. So
But it happens more the other way around.
yeah, I have some other way around. Like I write lyrics and then I make the music for it after
So
that.
the mood of the lyrics directs the mood of the song and the rhythm and so on.
Yeah.
Okay. And sort of how does that whole process, where you started out and the changes in your instrumentation and everything, how did that lead into the creation of Metalsmith?
All right. Say that again.
How did your process as you went from just starting out playing the guitar
Uh,
and expanding your instrumentation, what you've learned and everything, how did that lead into the creation of Metalsmith?
that's a weird question because like metal. Are you talking about like my YouTube channel? 'Cause my YouTube channel is called what's it called? Madman Ministries.
Okay. Well,
Because Metalsmith is it's just a YouTube. It's like a series on my channel.
okay. Well, what would you like to explain a little bit about what that series is about then?
Oh, it's about the process for making music, what kind of stuff you have to go through as a musician. A lot of like one of the questions I ask all the musicians is it hard to find a job that works with their music schedule? And so that's just kind of one of the things I'm interested in because me personally, I don't think that I'll ever be in a position. And
Hold
so
on,
I
you're
think it'll
going in and
also.
out a second. I'm hearing breaks in your sound.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Do you have a short
Do I have a short? I
in
don't.
your?
Um, my not really, but the Mozilla just said that it was not responding for a second.
Okay. Yeah, I
Uh,
hope it didn't mean that didn't record.
are you still hearing breaks?
Not now, but I'm gonna suggest starting the answer again. That's
Okay,
horrible. But
it's fine. Yeah. So yeah, Mel Smith is a it's a YouTube series where I just interview a bunch of musicians, and I want to figure out like what's their process for making music, what kind of stuff they have to go through as musicians. One of the questions I always ask them is, is it possible, or was it difficult to find a job that will accommodate their music schedule? The reason why I ask that is because I really don't think anytime soon I'm going to be in a position where I can just live off of my music. And so I'm basically almost always going to have to have a day job. And I figure that there are tons and tons and tons of musicians that are in the same situation. And I think it would be interesting to hear if people actually are having difficulty finding jobs that allow them to take time off to play shows, and stuff like that.
Okay, so basically comparing your experience to other musicians' experiences, have you found that your experience is pretty common among musicians with respect to the employment situation and how the process of getting from beginning, starting into music to where you are now and where they progress to?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. Like a lot of times a lot of people tell me that they don't have any issues between like finding a job that will allow them to play shows and whatnot. I mean,
Okay.
basically the work where I work, I just have to give them like 3 weeks notice, and for the most part, they almost always give me the thumbs up and play the show, whatever.
Okay. What was the best part of creating Metalsmith?
Well, the best part of playing Mills was just talking to all those musicians. It was fun hanging out with them.
And do you find that in networking that you've made some connections that have been useful or that you've been able to find people to work with, or has it just been more enjoyable getting to know other musicians and getting to learn more about their experiences?
Well, I haven't actually like used any like connections to get anywhere, so I don't know if I actually formed any connections. But maybe if I like asked them for like favors later on, maybe that would work because I did actually interview them for Metalsmith. But yeah, it basically was enjoyable talking to people.
Okay. What was the worst part of creating Metalsmith?
Um, well, one of the reasons for creating Metalsmith is that all these various bands, their fans would like watch like their band's episode, and then like they'll be interested in like watch other people's episodes as well. So it'll be like a symbiotic relationship where they'll become fans of mine and they'll become fans of other bands as well. And so basically, I would get popular through that way, and I could also use like my platform after I become popular to shine a light on other bands that are less popular that I think, all right, these bands, they're cool, they play the like really good music that I like. And so yeah, basically I was gonna use my platform to do that. But the problem is that it really didn't have that much response at all. Like I barely got any views. Only a select few people have actually subscribed to my channel because of that.
So you found that it's a lot more difficult to use YouTube to build a platform with a fan base for your work than expected.
Yeah, exactly. I think like there's a lot of people who just aren't like social media savvy, and there's just like a lot of like bands who are just their fan base is in real life in meat space. So like their fans probably aren't gonna like follow them all over the internet just because they're on the internet. Like they'll show up to shows, and that's basically they'll show up to shows, they'll buy their CDs. But when it comes to just going on the internet, I think like a lot of those bands I've talked to just did not cultivate much of a internet presence beyond just hey, I'm playing shows here, come meet us there. I mean, I'm not complaining about that. If that's the way they want to do it, that's cool. But I just feel that it just didn't help me out in that way.
And do you think it would be a useful thing then for a platform like that to be created where it would sort of train musicians to exploit the availability of internet platforms to expand their base, their listener base and their fan base a little bit?
Yeah, I think it would be very helpful if musicians became more, social media savvy. Because now we have Patreon, we have like all sorts of websites and programs where musicians can make money. And so, if they're doing what they're doing in real life and making money that way, it would be a boon for them to also just be on social media as well and like get people to activate people that way as well.
Okay. And now, have you had any groupies?
Like I asked like everybody that question. It doesn't always get into like the final cut, but I asked everybody that question. And for the most part, it seems like groupies really aren't a thing anymore, at least in like heavy metal bar circuit, because that's a lot of people. That's basically a lot of people I talk to. Like, rarely do I ever talk to somebody who's like touring all over the world. I think Manila Road and Hatred are the only bands that I've talked to their members who've actually like toured like all over the world. Um, hmm. Now I guess I'm gonna get personal for the rest of this question. Um, let's see. Like when I talk to a woman, I feel that like I'm never nervous talking to a woman in like normal conversation, but I get like really nervous if I'm gonna like try to like seduce her. I have this subconscious fear that as soon as like things like if I start flirting with her, things turn like sexual. It's just gonna make a about face, and now she's gonna like view me differently. It's like, oh, you're. I thought we are just having this, casual conversation, and now you're hitting on me, and now like
So
that's
you're afraid it's going to get you in trouble.
Oh no, I'm not afraid it's gonna get me in trouble. I'm not afraid that like other people are gonna see that and like try to attack me or anything. I'm not afraid of that. I just fear that I feel like I'm gonna be a nuisance to her.
Oh, you're afraid it's going to be off-putting.
Yeah, to her. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
awfully. That's the best way to put it.
I see. So you probably haven't noticed then if somebody's following your band for that reason, if you're not looking for it.
Yeah, essentially. But there was this one opportunity that maybe things could have gone that route. Maybe not. I don't actually know. But like, there was this girl in this one particular show that I played that like I gave her like I was giving out like free demos. And so I gave her one. She's like, "Oh, you should." She was like really excited. Say, "You should be selling these." And I told her that, well, these are the free demos I'm giving out, and once I'm done with my album, I'm gonna be selling those. And she's like, "Okay." And like since she was like so excited, I thought back to that situation. I thought, maybe, you know,
But sometimes it's hard to read the situation.
yeah, like maybe if like I actually had like tried to like hit on her, like maybe she would have been more receptive in that situation. But at the same time, like that's the exact situation where like I'm just talking to her in like more of like a professional, fun manner. And if I actually just started hitting on her, it could have very well just turned that whole situation around, and it could have been like embarrassing for both of us.
Yeah, and with a lot less touring and everything, do you think the physical groupie thing has sort of died out a lot? Do you think there's an internet version of groupies, similar, like somebody that follows everything that the band does online?
Internet version of a groupie, like
Basically somebody that's as obsessive, but since there's not so much real world stuff to follow, that they may follow everything the band does online.
they have sex with you because you're in the band. So yeah, that's how I define a groupie. So I don't see how you can be like an internet groupie if there's no sex involved.
Well, the way I was thinking about it was the way groupies were when I was growing up, because you would see them, they would literally follow the tour. And then you'd see them at concerts in multiple different states and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what had me thinking about that. These groupies, there were gals that would literally take an entire summer and travel the country going to different concerts. Of course, they had money. I didn't have money, so I didn't even go to concerts. But I was lucky if I could buy the albums. Um,
Yeah.
but all right, well, going on from the groupie thing, what caused you to decide to end Metalsmith?
I just didn't have the drive to continue doing it anymore. Because it's not like it's a hard, even though I didn't have the response I wanted to get, it's not like it's a hard series to create. Because there are some interviews where there is almost no editing, where I just let it play from beginning to end, and then just post it online. I just put like the ending, the I just put like the beginning and the end where I add their music and I say an interview with such and such, and that's basically all the editing I've done. So it's not like this is like back-breaking labor or anything. It's just I don't have the drive to continue doing this anymore. I
Okay.
mean, I think it's kind of funny because when I first started, I was really surprised how willing people were to be interviewed by me.
Yeah,
and
and what kind of things did you learn from that? I mean, just the process of creating and going through and interviewing with people, creating Metalsmith and interviewing with people, and making the decision to end the channel
uh, oh well, I mean the channel's not ending; it's a series that's
or the
ending.
series. Yeah,
Can I ask that question again?
like basically, what did you learn from that whole process as you started the series? You interviewed, several people, and then you made the decision to end the series. What's your takeaway from it?
Oh, what's my takeaway from it? Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of something off the top of my head that I actually like learned from making the series. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I guess we're gonna have to pass that question. I can't really
All
think
right.
of something right now that I've actually learned from the series.
Well, tell me what it was like interviewing Mark Shelton.
Oh man, that was interesting. Like it was really good to interview him because he likes to talk. And so him like when you interview somebody who just likes to talk a lot, to me that's like a really good thing. Um like after the interview was over, I was like so paranoid that something was gonna happen. Like my computer's gonna just blow up. I was getting like a virus that was gonna like corrupt the entire thing or whatever. And so I actually uploaded it onto my personal YouTube account and then made it unlisted because I was just worried that something's gonna happen to it. And I wasn't gonna have it anymore, and so I just made sure that I had some type of copies somewhere.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, hold on.
That was a really big interview for you.
Yeah, it was because like he's like the most well-known musician I interviewed. Like he's the only musician I've interviewed who's actually able to make a living off of his own music.
Now, if you do you think that that would be something that could be a goal for you to get to a point where you could make a living or make a good part of your living off of your music?
Hmm. Um, I don't think it's a realistic goal because it's just really hard to get to that point. And like I kind of wonder if it's even possible for me because I have my style of music that I like to make, and so that style of music may not have again, not just like right now I'm playing doom metal, melodic doom metal, and so
Okay.
I can play other subgenres of metal as well. But I'm just saying like whatever style of music I go into, it's not just that style, but it's also me playing that style that's going to affect how popular it is. And so I don't even know if it's possible for me to actually make enough money if there's a big enough niche market for my style of music to make enough money off of. It might
So
be
you
possible. Oh, it might be possible if like I join somebody else's band and like I'm playing guitar, I'm playing bass, or I'm singing or whatever, for me to make a living off of some.
so you've silenced again.
I'm not sure if I will be able to make enough money to live off of it.
Okay, so I lost you for a second there, but it sounds like what you're basically saying is you'd have to make some compromises that you're not interested in making in order for music to become your more of a profession for you, as far as a lucrative profession is concerned.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I will have to make concessions. I'm just saying that I might have to, and so
And it sounds similar to what I've seen with other musicians I know, where they have their particular interest in music, their area of interest in music, and then there's the public area of interest in music, and you sort of do have to cater your art, and it's a typical thing with art, right, where you have to sort of cater your art to the audience. Um, but why don't you go ahead and tell me what the story is behind Technical Melodica?
yeah, like this is dude who I went to high school with, and then later on, when I was going to Modesto Junior College, um, we happened to take the same German class together and the same recording arts class together. And so for our recording arts project, this says not responding. Let me just hold on for a bit. All right, for our recording arts project, we just like went to the studio. We like grabbed some dude to play to not play and to basically let the sound engineer just play just hit the play button, hit the record button, and hit stop and whatever. And so we recorded two songs. One song is called "Cosmonauts." Oh, "Cosmonauts Are Real" and "Jackalopes Are Real." And for some reason, I didn't upload "Cosmonauts Are Real" onto YouTube, but you can find "Jackalopes Are Real" on my personal YouTube channel. Yeah, just look up "Jackalopes Are Real." It should pop up. It's actually like, for some reason, it has like a ridiculous amount of views compared to the rest of my videos. I think it.
Probably because jackalopes are funny.
Yeah, I think it is because I put like jackalopes in the title, and so there like a bunch of people are finding my video because it said jackalopes. And the funny thing about that is like I'm actually working on an album. Actually, like I don't know, I started working on it like a year ago, and I still haven't finished it. I actually just recently finished it, and I actually changed the name of one of the songs because I wanted to have that effect of like giving the song a name simply to attract people to that song itself. The song is called "The Secrets of Flat Earth,"
Okay, okay.
and the idea is that like people who want to look at like flat Earth stuff are gonna like come across my song.
And it'll basically come up in a search for flat Earth. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That does make sense. That does make sense. And you found that you can sort of lead people to your work by picking out the right terminology. Then.
yeah, like it's almost like clickbait if you think about it, but like it's kind of not because it's music. You name it whatever you want.
Well, true, true. And of course, if it's related, then it's not really necessarily clickbait.
Well, but it's
Uh,
not related.
so like clickbait is when you give a title and then the thing that it leads to doesn't really live up to the title at all. Um, but so in terms of technical melodica, is that something that was just a temporary? You guys did some things for a while and then moved on.
Yeah, because like after that we like the songs we made, I thought me and him thought, oh, these are pretty cool songs, and then like we formed a band. I mean, the band was just me and him. Like we didn't have it was just, he was a keyboard player and I was a guitarist, and so like we didn't have like a bassist or a drummer or anything like that. I did the singing, and so yeah, we did play a few shows, and I don't know, this is one dude who particularly liked our music, but other than that, we didn't really do much, and I wanted to play more shows and like write more music, but he's like, "Well, I'm kind of busy with these other projects right now," and, and I was like, and at the same time, I was like, "Well, there are other things I want to do as well," and so I said, "It's like, well, if we both want to do different things, then I guess this should be like the end of the band," and so the band broke up. So, oh, the reason why the band was called Technical Melodica is because I like the flow of the name, or this like I said, we formed the band in this recording arts class, and like this is company called Audio Technica. They make microphones and all sorts of other kind of like musical equipment, and so I just like the flow of that name, Audio Technica. And so I kind of want to come up with a name that also had that similar flow. So that's why I came up with Technical Melodica.
And with what you guys did, you're using technical equipment, not just musical equipment as well. So it's fitting. Now, have you found
Wait,
that?
hold on. Wait. I'm not telling you. I shouldn't have paused because I wasn't quite done.
Oh, okay.
All right. The thing is with yeah, the band broke up, and so like I've been playing. I don't know why I started. That's why I can explain this. Let's see. Like I said, like we were a guitarist and a piano player, and so I kind of thought that idea was kind of interesting. So I kind of want to like go back to that. And one of the reasons why I decided to go back to that because I read this article. I think it was on like metalsucks.net or something like that. One of those like heavy metal media websites, news outlets, and they were talking about how like metalheads they don't want to be adventurous. They want to just like stick to like the old style of playing. It's like they're very persnickety of like what is and what isn't metal. And if something isn't metal, then they don't want to like meddle with it at all. And so I kind of got. I don't entirely agree with that because you can find all sorts of kind of metal that's been merged with all kinds of different genres of music, and so I've decided that I'm going to try something different as well, and so that's why I decided to bring back technical melodica because I decided that I'm gonna play the guitar, and then we're gonna have a piano player, and we're just gonna like instead of having like a bassist, we're just have like the lower registry of the piano be like the bass parts.
Okay, okay.
And I decided that I want to have like a female lead singer because I thought that would be interesting.
Now, have you found anybody to work with on that? That you're definitely going to do this, and it's all set up and planned, or is this something that you're starting out with and trying to build?
It's something I'm starting out with and trying to build. Um, yeah, like I've been going through some things lately. Like I'm gonna be moving out of my mom's house soon. I'm gonna be moving to Ohio soon, so this really isn't the best time for me to be trying to start a band. Although I am still trying to make music, and so what I'm planning on doing is I've actually been writing lyrics so I can make like a 6 song album for Technical Malacca, and I was gonna like find a singer for that band for the album itself. But I've
Okay.
decided that it'd be like a lot easier if I just like wrote one song and then just found somebody to sing that particular song. And so I was gonna use that to like I wanted to start a career in mixing and mastering people's music and albums. Maybe I might start small, just like with demos, and then branching off from that.
Sort
And
of a
so
music factory.
yeah, and
Okay.
let's see what else is there.
Well, do you have do you sort of have a game plan for that, or are you just starting out on it?
I'm trying to like I'm just trying to like produce like a song that I can like put out there as an example of what I'm capable of. And
And
once I do
then
that, and then I'm gonna like try to like advertise, maybe even pay for advertisement. And
and
that's
then go from there.
yeah, that's one of the things about how I was telling you about Secrets of Flat Earth.
Mhm.
That song that I believe I sent you the music video for that, but I'm hoping the music video will hoping that music video will attract some attention. So maybe I
And
can
so
get some jobs
basically
for that.
giving people an idea of what you're capable of and showing like what your style is with the idea that that'll help to draw in some interest in what you're going to do and get people to maybe ask you to be involved in their process.
Yeah, and back to technical melodica.
Mhm.
What I started doing is like I started like making covers in the style of technical melodica. And instead of actually like getting a female singer, I just like sang them myself because it was just easier that way. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to like draw more attention to draw more attention to myself, so it'd be easier to find the lead singer after that. So yeah, so I already have some momentum essentially.
So that seems to be one of the biggest challenges then, like as a solitary musician or a musician who seeks out other people to work with, but you are your own promoter, is that marketing challenge seems to be a big hurdle.
Yeah, so I guess I need to get better at doing marketing. Um,
And
yeah, I remember a while back you asked me what I learned from creating Metalsmith.
mhm.
I just remember something I learned. Um, Maybe this isn't the right lesson that I learned, but it seems like the more source filmmaker I use to make music videos and stuff, the the less popular my videos are. So I'm gonna try to like pull away from using Source Filmmaker, which is the program I use to make those like when I interviewed Mark the Shark Shelton, which is his nickname, Mark the Shark Shelton.
Mhm.
I use Source Filmmaker to make the intros for those interviews. So I'm gonna try to like use Source Filmmaker less for music videos.
Okay, okay. And that sort of leads into what's with the sexy elves.
The sexy elves. They're these digital models that were created by this guy named Lord Aardvark. You can find them on sourcefilmmakerlab.com.
Mm-hmm.
They're nude models, so be prepared for that. So that's basically the main story as far as like the models themselves. I use them for two reasons. One, I don't think there's any like copyright issues with them. I believe those are like his own original characters. And two, I thought just sex appeal would encourage people to watch watch the interviews. Although
Okay.
I mean, obviously, a lot of people aren't into like you know digital ladies, so that might have the opposite effect. But yeah, anyway,
So in a way, it's is it kind of like putting the sexy models in heavy metal videos?
yeah, essentially, except these are digital models, which, like I said, might have had the opposite effect. Well, another reason why I use them is because I just thought it'd be funny if I could like recreate a lot of the album covers from Manila Road albums. So I thought like when people watch those videos, they say, "Oh, that's the that's the album for our Crystal Logic, or that's the album for Circus Maximus, or that's the album cover of what else did I use? Voyager, stuff
That's
like
kind of
that."
interesting. So it actually gave you the opportunity to and sort of create tributes to the various artists that you were interested in and everything. Did you find that people noticed that or recognized that?
Well, as far as I know, nobody left any comments. So if anybody knows, they didn't say anything.
That's too bad. That sounds like kind of a neat thing to do, actually. Um, did you decide to discontinue that when you decided to get away from that software, or did you decide to sort of continue that anyway?
Give me a second. The Mozilla saying not responding. Oh, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I can still hear you. It's odd because there's been a couple of times during the interview that you've popped in and out, but even though it says it's not responding, I can hear you just fine.
I'm worried that like the live stream isn't being recorded as well, but I don't know. We're just gonna soldier on anyway. I was just gonna do that for just for Manila Road because they were like a really milestone interview that I got. And so like maybe if I got to interview like if I was gonna continue and I was gonna interview like someone else that was like really famous or really influential, like if I got to interview somebody from Megadeth or like Iron Maiden or something like that, then I would maybe do something special, maybe not the same kind of thing.
Okay.
Just something special for that. And so, yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons why I started to go step away from source filmmaker as far as like music videos and music and whatnot. It's because like to animate like actual characters, it takes a lot of work. Even though source filmmaker is actually like a lot easier to use, I've been told that it's a lot easier to use than other 3D software. It still is difficult to use, especially if you're like animating humanoid creatures and like having them move in a way that's like somewhat realistic and lifelike. One of the problems is what was the album cover? It was like the album cover was like Mark of the Beast. And I forgot which interview I did or yeah which episode I used that for, but like it depicted this elf lady stabbing some creature in the throat. It was basically just a combat scene, and I kind of like I wanted to do that like really quick and dirty, and have it also look good as well. But the problem with having that fight scene is that it just wasn't something that I could have done quickly and still have it look good. Because like I personally like, when I see that, when I watch that, I kind of fear. I feel the cringe when I watch that. It's just really cringy looking because it's just really ridiculous. It doesn't look cool at all. Um, like the other ones, like the intro, like when I was recreating Crystal Logic, where you just see where it just pans over and you see like the three elf ladies sitting there or standing there, and they're looking at the I don't know what that thing, like I think it's like the necropolis. I don't know exactly what they call it, but I'm just gonna call it the necropolis. Like when you see them look at the necropolis, to me I think that looks like really well, simply because like they're not actually doing anything. They don't have to like do things that are like really lifelike. That like there's less to criticize because there's less going on, and
So basically, adding movement severely complicates the process. Then, in other words,
yeah. And so if I actually had like sat there and spent like a ridiculous amount of time to do that, then that fight scene would have been flawless. But I don't have that kind of time, and I'm not entirely sure if like spending that kind of time would have been worthwhile in the end anyway. And so that's why stuff like when I like the Voyager album cover when they're just like on that boat, it was like really easy to just animate that boat moving up and down, just like going along the water. And so and it looked good as well. So like stuff like that, like that's the kind of stuff I like because it was quick, dirty, and looked nice.
yeah, so probably ending the Metalsmith series probably means you're going to be ending a lot of that anyway. But do you find that this may be useful for use in part in music videos, or do you think you're going to abandon it completely?
Source filmmaker.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'm probably going to use it less, and if I am going to use source filmmaker, I'm probably going to not use human characters or like humanoid characters because, like I said, it's just hard to animate them doing stuff, and so the music video I'm well I will eventually post like that doesn't have any characters in it. It's just basically I have this idea of like what if the world was flat and it was a record player. And so that's like the idea, and then you just like, and then you see like this satellite in the sky, and it just moves in these very simple ways. That was just like easy to animate, and it looked good. And so essentially, I'm probably not going to just abandon Source Filmmaker altogether. But when I do use Source Filmmaker specifically for music videos, I'm just gonna basically like keep it simple. And like that music video I made, it's really simple. Like the hardest part was actually like I had to make the map itself and I had to make that satellite model. And so that was basically like the hardest part. Like anime was extremely easy.
Okay. So with making more strategic use of Source Maker and being all right, now it looks like I've lost you. All right. Well, it seems to me that we have actually lost the host. Yep, it seems to me that we have lost the host. I guess that's going to make it a big difficulty asking any further questions. I'll give him a minute here to see if he comes back. And I'm not even getting an answer on Skype.
Hello, can you hear me? All right, well, I'm back.
Okay, I'm back. I don't know why we both got booted from the call, but and I can't remember what I was about to ask you.
Yeah,
It was
like
bouncing off the last question too.
yeah, like whenever I do these, I usually just like put asterisks next to the like I rarely like ask questions in order as well. I usually just put asterisks next to the questions I've already asked.
Yeah, the problem is this one was something that I was going to ask based on your answer to the last question, and I completely lost my train of thought on that. I had a specific thing that came up for me because of what you had just said. And when the call booted us both, it just kind of surprised me enough that I lost that question. And I know it had to do with like you had talked about you're changing your use of
Source filmmaker.
source filmmaker for a more strategic use of it. And we had talked about your evolving use of digital enhancement for your music and digital music production. I
Mm.
like it. Your musical style seems to have evolved. I have to say, fairly similar to that of my brother, although he hasn't gotten into digital video production the same way.
Mm.
But have you found that it's been obviously it's been
You still
beneficial
there?
to.
Oh, can you ask that question again? Because you just
I was
cut
gonna say,
out.
I just kind of well, obviously it's been beneficial to you to use digital production in both music and video production. But have you found that you've sort of honed your style overall to a more strategic use of both?
Huh? More specific use of both.
Like in other
Yeah.
words, yeah, more strategic use, as in you've cut out the stuff that hasn't benefited your musical career as much, and you've found that you've found the parts of the programs that you're using and the aspects of the programs that you're using that benefit you the most.
Let's see. Huh? I don't know exactly how to answer that question. As far as like use of like digital instruments and music, I've actually gone to like using them more because like I don't have a drummer, so I use MIDI for drums. But like the pianos, that's also MIDI as well. Um, I forgot the program. I think the program is called Play. I downloaded from this company called East West, and so that's where I got my piano sounds from. And so I've actually, I mean, I don't know if you call it strategic, but I've actually been using MIDI more, not less. And MIDI Madness, that's what I'm going to call the album that I'm releasing. That has obviously a lot more use of MIDI. Like I usually play bass on all my music, but I play bass on some of the songs, but not all the songs. Some of the songs have a MIDI bass I'm using.
Okay, okay. So this gives you basically a good expansion of available um, instrumental parts to your music. You don't have to worry about whether you can find a person to do it, as long as you have some electronic version that you can use.
Yeah, I recently bought this recording program called Sonar. You can find it on Steam.
And can
And
you explain a little bit about Sonar?
yeah, I mean, it's a recording program. I don't think it's particularly any more unique than any other recording program you can find. I really don't have that much experience with different recording programs, so I can't tell you what about it is better or worse than other programs. But I've been using Cubase LE4 for like the longest time, and so it's basically just time for me to purchase a new recording software because a lot of there's like two programs that I bought that just and that's um, the piano software Play and Easy Drummer 2. Neither of those worked with Cubase LE4. Maybe if I've upgraded to like other forms of Cubase, I'm pretty sure they would have worked. But whatever. I decided to buy Sonar, and so both of those worked with Sonar. And so, if nothing else, that is a bonus to getting Sonar.
Okay, so you're basically just talking about using a newer. Is Sonar a newer software then?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay, so it's basically just upgrading in terms of going to a newer software rather than continuing upgrades of a software that you've already been using.
Yeah.
Have,
Yeah. One of the issues that I have with Cubase, and I've said this before multiple times, was that I don't like their anti-piracy, their way of dealing with piracy, and like I've had to like jump through hoops in order to get Keybase installed on my computer and working. And I wanted to get away with that, so that's why get away from that, and that's why I purchased Sonar from Steam because I thought that it being on Steam means it's not going to have that many what you call it.
that many hoops to jump through?
Yeah, I mean hosts as far as piracy is concerned. And so far, I don't think I've had trouble with Sonar itself. I think the most trouble I've been getting is from Play with the what you call it the piano
Okay, what kind of troubles have you had with the software?
piracy software from Sonar itself or from Easy Drummer. It's just Play. That's the only program that has issues with. I mean, it's kind of annoying because I've been trying to get away from that, but I just end up running into it again.
And what kind of issues have you been having? Is it one that it just the functionality of the software is inhibited when you're trying to work with other programs, or is it more in terms of you try to use it for a specific function, or you try to use it in a specific way, and you're limited because of the software's anti-piracy functions?
Well, I mean, the program will just like stop functioning if it doesn't detect. I think that's how it works. Like if it just doesn't detect the license that I purchase, and so sometimes
Okay.
the program that I have that deals with the licenses, sometimes that malfunctions, and like the program can't detect the license, so it just thinks that it's pirated and says, "All right, you can't use this." And so I dealt with that every so often. It's not like all the time that I deal with it, but every so often I have to deal with that.
So it's basically a technical issue with the program where it's it's falsely accusing you of piracy.
Yeah, it functions well. Uh, oh yeah,
Okay,
all right. Oh yeah, I thought we cut out for a little bit. Anyway,
we did,
uh,
and it's still doing it.
just as well as I thought it would. And so like when I compare the music I made with this piano software compared to like previous music that I made, like with the software that Cubase came with, it just sounds a lot better. So I guess even with the piracy issues, piracy software issues, it's still a decent purchase.
And it sounds like if you're able to produce a better quality of music, that makes the biggest difference. I mean, you can kind of get around the issue of it not recognizing your license by simply pushing through. Sometimes I know I've had that problem with software myself. But if the functionality of the software itself is better, then It sounds like you've gone with a better choice there. And I think we've come to the end of the questions that I had written. Was there anything that you would want to tell the listeners that I haven't covered?
Hold on. I'm trying to like look up the questions I wrote down. I'm not entirely sure if we actually asked all of them. I think we did, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah,
Oh my god, my computer is frozen.
isn't that fun? I have them right here. Can you see the in Hangout chat? Are you still there? Well, it looks like we've lost him again. And if I if this